The chart guys are very pleased to introduce our newest indicator, which is the volume climax indicator. And what this does is it lets us know when there is an abnormal amount of volume. So it plays off of our previously created indicator, the abnormal volume, and it combines it with some RSI indications, which let us know when we are reaching a climax. So as we know, oversold climaxes often occur at the bottom of a downtrend, and overbought climaxes often occur at the top of an uptrend. So what that tells us is when we have very high volume and RSI levels that tell us that we are either overbought or oversold, those two factors in combination with each other can give us some really good entry or exit signals. And of course, depending on whether you're a day trader or a swing trader, it determines what time frame you're going to be using. So here's an example of ETH USD on the 15-minute time frame. So this would be more for a day trader or a short-term trader, where we are seeing here the conditions being met with very high volume. This is when the alert would go out with the conditions of volume and RSI being met, and the follow through on the bounce is significant. And I'm very pleased with this indicator because over the past couple of weeks, they have been coming out and we're watching how they develop in the real world trading action. And every single one has given follow through at the very least to give break even. And honestly, at this point, every single one has given significant gains in the follow through that we've seen. So we're very pleased with this indicator. It is now very instantly my new favorite indicator that we have because of the success rate that we've been seeing on it. And again, not only is it oversold indications, which tell us when to start scaling in for a bounce to play out, but it also tells us some overbought conditions. And when the RSI is high and we see volume climaxes, that lets us know when periods of consolidation are coming. Now, it's important to note that if we're in a general overall uptrend on, say, the 4-hour time frame, if we're getting an overbought indicator, a climax alert on the 15-minute time frame, that can tell us that, we're due for some consolidation, but it doesn't mean we're going to change the trend because we're looking on a short-term time frame, which can see healthy consolidation and remain in the overall uptrend. So again, if you're looking to short-term trade, that's an indication to take some profit. But if you're zoomed out and looking at the longer-term pattern, selling on, a 15-minute climax alert to the upside may not be the best exit strategy if you're looking for the move to continue playing out. So just an example here, the climax went off and we hit a top of 878 and we ended up pulling back all the way down to 850. So, a $25, $28 pullback that could have been avoided if exiting. But if you held for a few more hours, you can see that we did see continuation and the bulls recovered. So it's important to note that, a 15-minute overbought RSI, if you're looking on the longer term timeframes, that's not something you want to necessarily exit on unless you're looking for a quick re-entry to remain in the uptrend. But I use it most on the oversold entries. And the longer term time frame you get this alert on, the longer the bounce will be anticipated to play out in. Another important factor with this alert is you always want to be back checking it to what Bitcoin is doing. And what I mean by that is because the correlation is so strong, if we get overbought, or let's say we get oversold climax indicators on both Ethereum and Litecoin, and they're meeting the conditions on the 15-minute time frame, and then I look on Bitcoin's 15-minute chart, and it has not set off the alert yet, and it still hasn't followed through because it is not as oversold. That would tell me that we could potentially see, and we are likely to see, Bitcoin drop down a bit more to get to those oversold conditions that would send the climax alert out, which means that Ethereum and Litecoin, due to the correlation, could see some extended action to the downside and get even more oversold because Bitcoin is not ready to bounce yet. So just keep that in mind. If you get an alert on Ethereum, let's say, for the 15-minute oversold RSI climax, you want to be looking at Bitcoin and see where is Bitcoin in the process as well, because if it is not as oversold as Ethereum, we know that there could still be a little bit more downside before the bounce of the entire sector gets going due to that correlation of Bitcoin. So play around with this alert system. Again, the feedback has been perfect for this so far. It's very clearly the best indicator that we've come up with as the chart guys, as this is a proprietary indicator that we have put together, just looking at the chart and saying, okay, what are the conditions that give me the best oversold bounces, as oversold bounce plays are my bread and butter and my favorite kind of play, and then putting that into data and putting it into numerical values to allow a robot like this alert system to just spit out when these conditions are met. So absolutely suggest playing around with it. And even if, you're not trading on these signals, play around with it, see where they get signaled, and look back historically. How did the bounces follow through? How did the consolidation follow through from the top? And certainly think that you'll be pleased with utilizing this in your trading game plan.